Call the meeting to order. Will you please rise and join me in the pledge to our flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right, let the record show all board members, with the exception of Trustee Cardona, are present and accounted for. I will also entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to communications. This is not just so members of the public may address the Board of Trustees regarding any special board meeting agenda item during the board consideration of that item. Please note that if you wish to address the Board of Trustees on the agenda item, you should do so when the specific item is called for by the board president, that being me. In order to submit or to give your comment, to comment in person, please fill out the request to be heard card and give it to our board assistant. Your name will be called during the public comment of that agenda item or during the specific agenda item. Comments are limited to 2 minutes. If you'd like to submit a comment via Assembly Gamut Meetings, enter your name and email address, and the board assistant will provide your comment to the board. And also, if you want to submit your comment via YouTube, just type your comment into the live chat, and the superintendent will share your comment with the board as appropriate. Now is the time in which you can, if you want to comment to the board on an item that is not on the agenda, this would be the time to do so. Please note that while it's not an action item, it's not on the agenda, we cannot take action on it. Please note that we will be listening and we will do what we can to try and address your item at the appropriate time. With that, is there anyone who'd like to address the board on an item that is not on the agenda? Okay, we'll give folks a few moments to comment online. Keep saying we should make this like a random time where each board member has to give a joke each meeting in order to pass the time. To put that in the notes, mental notes. Do we have any comments? Okay. With that, we will move on to reports, and we'll start with the Robla Education Foundation.
And I appreciate you not making me walk up there, but I'll try to set the tone for the meeting. My report is short. The email went out to our foundation members who work the fireworks booth. There will be a similar missive going out this week using the district email system to solicit more teachers. I lost my morning setup person, so I'm looking for somebody that will be able to be there every morning to help with the setup and also drive the vehicle from the Army Depot to here in the morning. I do have my evening driver, but anyways, all the help I can get is greatly appreciated.
Sounds like a plan.
Quick question, is there a requirement for the driver's license for driving that truck, or is it just like a box truck with a regular license?
Yeah, we're just using the 10-foot box truck, so just a Class C license.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now we'll have Robla Teachers Association. Classified School Employees Association. Superintendent's report.
Good evening. I have a couple things. First, I would like to acknowledge the art reception we had prior to the board meeting to recognize all the wonderful students, our artists that display and decorate our boardroom as well as the front entrance. Last Tuesday was the Robla Spelling Bee. Congratulations to all the students. We had two students represent each school. And then we have a big congratulations to Tolo Tolo from Glenwood, who is the Robla champion spelling bee. But we do have one representative from each school going to the next round of the scripts process. I want to thank all the teachers and the students and the principals who participated in the Valentine's for Vets. So those cards were delivered in collaboration with office, councilman, congressman, sorry. I'm learning, I apologize. Congressman Bera's office. This afternoon, I attended the behavior support training by Sarah Hall. Sarah Hall is one of our contract BCBAs who is providing a 5 training series. Today's was session 2, focusing on classroom management. I believe we had over 30 teachers there. Wonderful. And officially on Tuesday, February 20th, so the Tuesday of this week, I received official notification of a withdrawal for the Robla Charter School petition. Okay, so I want to note that the current New Hope Charter petition expires June 30, 2028. And Marconi Learning Center, Marconi Learning Academy, their petition expires June 20, 2026. And then Paseo Grande Charter expires June 30th, 2028. At the April 18th board meeting, we'll have a update on the charter from both Marconi and Paseo Grande. And then finally, this week, Mr. Castillo and I met with our facilities consultant, CFW, regarding the status development of the Panhandle area. We have some activity that's going on, so more information will be coming as we get it. Thank you. That's the end of my report.
Okay, we'll move on to board member reports. Start with Trustee Devine.
I would just like to thank all of the student artists who showed up or provided their beautiful work for our boardroom for the art reception today. It's always one of my favorite things when they put up new art, change it around, because we get to see everything that the students are doing, and it just makes me smile, and it's all so amazing. So thank you.
Trustee Hamilton, start.
Nothing to report at this time.
Trustee Barnes.
I have the pleasure of attending the SCOE dinner along with my colleagues, and we learned quite a bit more about AI and how we can utilize that in Robla. I'm looking forward to that. And I enjoyed the art reception today, and I'm always reminded of our past board member, Dennis Boyd, and how he supported the arts. And it made me a little teary today to thinking about him and how he would have appreciated this reception. So thank you.
All right, and all I have is to report on is the CSBA, the California School Boards Association Legislative Action Week is going to be coming up. It's March 12th through the 14th. They're going to be doing it virtually again this year. So what they're going to be doing is they're going to be looking at everyone's schedule. They're going to be trying to schedule meetings with our state legislators. They'll try and make it work with everyone's schedule, but they're going to set us for specific times. So in order to participate, you need to register by March 1st. And you can just, if you go to the CSBA website and you sign up, just look for Legislative Action Week and sign up. So once again, March 1st is the deadline for that. And that is it for my report. And with that, we'll now move on to presentations and information. We'll start with special education update.
Good evening. I'm Janet Horowitz, Director of Special Services for the Robla School District. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm looking forward to sharing with you what's going on in our special education programs, as well as some of our future activities coming up. I think it's on. I feel very echoey. It must be on. Right. I want to talk just a little bit about our total numbers. Throughout this presentation, I'll be trying to give you up-to-date numbers as much as possible. Some of the data will be from last year when we get to the information from CDE. So as you can see, our total district enrollment, preschool through 6th grade, 2,136 students. We have 319 special education students within that enrollment for a percentage of 14.9%. That is slightly above the statewide average of 12.5%. That 12.5% has been steadily increasing over the years. Our district has been slightly higher than the statewide average throughout the years, in part due to just the nature of being a small district and the number of students requiring additional support. Looking at eligibility by disability, I'll pull my numbers here so I can give you those actual numbers. As you can see, by a large margin, our greatest number of students are eligible for special education services under the category of speech and language impairment. That is 134 of our students. Our next highest is actually students eligible under autism. It's fairly high for compared to other districts in the state. We do have 75 students with autism within our programs. Our third highest would be our specific learning disability. That's about 66 students. You can see the other numbers are significantly lower. Our students with emotional disabilities, we only have one identified student at this point in time. Our students with intellectual disabilities is around 5, going all the way down through the bottom. Some of the acronyms you may not be familiar with. Would you like me to go through all of them?
Yes.
I will. Pending students are students that we have assessment plans signed, but we haven't determined eligibility yet. ED would be an emotional disability, ID an intellectual disability. OI is an orthopedic impairment. OHI is other health impairment. Those are students that have a disability that adversely affects their ability to participate in the gen ed program without supports. Specifically, the language speaks to limited alertness or vitality. That could be a wide range of medical conditions. SLD, specific learning disability, speech language impairment. HH would be deaf or hard of hearing. MD, multiple disabilities, which are students that have significant impairments in multiple areas. Those may be students with autism and also an intellectual disability or an orthopedic impairment, and also other health impairment, something like that.
I have one more question. So is this just the, like, one student per, like, even if they qualify for multiple?
Correct. This is their primary disability. For example, many of the students with autism would have speech and language impairment as a secondary disability.
All right, I've lots of questions. I want to learn a lot.
Okay.
Can you give examples of SLI, SD, and ED?
Sure. Students with a speech and language impairment or SLI are students that have deficits in language, either receptively, which is how they understand language, or expressively, how they use language to communicate. Those students, if I'm a numbers person, those are students that have deficits in 2 areas below the 7th percentile. So those would be students that would receive typically services from a speech and language pathologist. They might have a small amount of service. They may get 30 minutes once a week, 30 minutes twice a week, just kind of depending on what the need is. Every student has an individual education plan. So every student may have slightly different goals, slightly different amounts of services. Students with a specific learning disability are eligible because they have a processing disorder, typically an auditory processing disorder, a visual disorder. It could be attention, it could be conceptualization. And one of those areas, they have a significant discrepancy between their ability where we would expect them to be performing and their achievement where they're actually performing. And what we're usually looking for is 1.5 standard deviations. So it works out to about 2 grade levels behind. So if they're approximately 2 grade levels behind, they may meet eligibility criteria if they also have that processing disorder.
Is that the same for SLI?
Pardon?
Is that the same for SLI?
Specific SLI, the speech and language, would just be 2 areas that are 7th percentile or below. So they may have some pretty significant difficulties in how they understand what is being said to them or how they're able to express themselves. They may have delays in those areas. Could also be a severe articulation disorder that would qualify them for services. I think you also asked about emotional disability. Those are students that have an inability to learn that can't be explained by these other categories that are usually due to a psychological disorder, and they result in either an inability to learn, an inability to form appropriate peer relationships, inappropriate behaviors under typical circumstances, what's called somatization, which is the kind of feeling a physical expression like a headache or a stomach ache that's expresses their emotional state, but that is at such a level that it's significantly impacting their ability to participate in their program. Fifth category is inability to learn. It also includes students with schizophrenia, but does not include students with conduct disorder.
Thank you.
Another question. For pending, are these students that don't have an actual diagnosis yet that believe would receive services?
They may have a diagnosis, like a medical diagnosis, but they've not been evaluated yet to measure that educational impact and see if they fit into one of the 13 eligibility criteria for special education.
The pending students still receiving assistance and services?
They are, I would say those students are almost always in an intervention program. Parents can also request an assessment, in which case, there may be students in that pending number that are requested assessments.
And are parents aware that they can request an assessment?
That information goes out in the first day packet every year. If a parent asks a staff member, I think my child's eligible for special education, I'd like them assessed, we are required by law to help them with the process of how to request that in writing. Mm-hmm.
And I want to point out, the pending doesn't necessarily mean that they will qualify for special education. It's just we have to go through that process.
Right, it might take me a while to get through my tone slides. I apologize for how many there are. Moving on to our next one, this just kind of gives you a little bit of an overview by grade level of where those students fall. As you can see, by far and away, well, not by far and away, our fourth grade and preschool have the highest concentration at this point in time. Our preschool numbers fluctuate quite a bit. However, I would say that what we are seeing right now is a general trend upwards. These are students who often did not have opportunities to engage in social interactions in the last few years. And so as they're coming into a preschool at age 3, these are the children that were probably born in 2020 through 2021. They may not have had that opportunity to hear language, have the social interactions. So our hope is, and I know I have seen this, we are seeing an increasing trend of our preschool students no longer requiring service by the time they go to kindergarten. They are reassessed prior to the start of kindergarten so that we have a really clear picture of where they are as they start school.
Because I noticed that the TK numbers are relatively low. Do you think some of those students are any of those students of maybe TK age, but maybe because of that, parents felt it was better to keep them in preschool?
Yes, we have a few students, not a lot, but we did have a few last year that when we held kindergarten transition meetings, the team agreed as an IEP team and the parent felt that it would be more appropriate for their child to continue with another year at preschool going into the TK program. So, all right. Moving on to our next, this kind of gives you an idea of where our services are. Our every district has a wide range of services. Probably the service, well, definitely the service that is the smallest amount of time would be students who receive speech and language only services. So as I said earlier, that may be 30 minutes a week, working in a small group or one-on-one with a speech therapist. Our next level there would be our pull-out or push-in programs. Those are students that receive specialized academic instruction, working on goals in either ELA or math, typically either in what's called a resource center or a learning center. In some of our schools, we're starting to move more towards a push-in model, where the special education teacher is going into the classroom and co-teaching with the gen ed teacher. which is a lovely way for even our students that aren't eligible to get some additional support if they're behind in a particular area. The next one would be, I apologize for these getting a little bit cut off here, what's called a mild mod self-contained classroom. You may have previously heard the term SDC. The state is moving away from SDC or special day class towards this mild mod self-contained classroom. Those are students that receive their service with one teacher in a special education setting. They typically have their ELA, math, science within that setting. They may mainstream into a classroom for enrichment. They may mainstream for, in particular, at the kindergarten primary level, calendar, story time, things like that. We're always looking for opportunities to increase the amount of time in a gen ed setting, and I'll get to that in just a little bit. Our extensive support self-contained classroom is what was previously called a mod severe SDC. Those classrooms are students who have pretty significant disabilities that require a more extensive amount of support. They may require a smaller class setting and a higher ratio of adults to students. And then the last one, that small little number there, we're super excited about and looking forward to that growing, is our new inclusion program. At the start of this school year, we added an inclusion specialist for our preschool through third grade students. We also added, at the time, 2 independence facilitators who are instructional assistants who go in the classroom to help the kids integrate into that classroom with the idea that we can start to back out. We started this program with 6 students across 3 sites. So we have students at Robla, we have students at Taylor, and we have students in the preschool. Since the start of the school year, we've identified through initial identification 4 more students that we felt would benefit from this type of program in place of a more restrictive setting. I am very happy to report that we are seeing some amazing growth in those students. As an anecdote, one that recently started in right before Christmas break, who was pretty much nonverbal last year in his self-contained classroom. I had a text from the inclusion specialist this week who said that the student was in the gen ed setting, raised his hand and answered a question about his favorite food unprompted and with no one sitting near him, which for me is just like why I do what I do. I have had the benefit of working preschool through age 22 in special education, and what I do know is the children that start with as much meaningful inclusion as possible are the students that at age 22 are most likely to live on their own and be independent. That's our goal, to have functioning, healthy, happy adults who are able to integrate into their community as adults. Sorry, that was my soapbox. These next slides, I take no responsibility for the color of. These were provided by Scully. I don't like it. I'm not a yellow kind of person. Every year, CDE reviews all the data that is provided by our district to determine progress towards state targets. So they are the established benchmarks are in the areas of academic performance, both ELA and math, suspensions, least restrictive environment, parent involvement, and child find. And so in data year 21-22, we did not meet the criteria in academic performance for our special education students. We did not meet in one area of least restrictive environment, which was we had too many of our special education students that were out of a regular classroom for more than 60% of their day. So these are our 22-23 numbers. As you can see, we have 52% of our special education students are in the classroom for 80% or more of their day. That target from the state is that regular classroom less than 40%. We are at 23.2% this year. Separate setting is children who are participating in a non-public school or a county program. And then the preschool programs, preschool setting, we have 12.8 students. So this is looking at our performance from 22-23. As you can see, this is students in the gen ed classroom 80% or more of their day. The state target increases every year. Last year it was at 60%. This year it's at 62%. I'm sorry, in 21-22 versus 22-23. I'm still on this year and last year.
What were we at last?
In 21-22, we were at 61.4%. So we had squeaked above the state target. We did fall this year. In conversations with our continuous improvement monitoring team, what we really looking at all of the data, this number has been dropping since the pandemic, and that's been concerning. So our focus as a district, I will get to our plan, is to figure out how to increase time for our students to be meaningfully included in the gen ed program. The second one is where we were out of compliance in 21-22. In 21-22, the state target was 18%. We were at 25%. So we have improved slightly in this area, but as you can see, the state target is going to keep dropping every year. I am not sure where they plan on stopping that target, to be honest with you. So, but we are seeing a decrease in this. And I think, let me see where we were with. All right, so this is a little bit about our continuous improvement monitoring plan. This is a new plan from CDE. In the last 25 years, I have seen every acronym you can think of for a special education plan. I've also never actually had to report my results on the special education plan because they have changed it every single year. This continuous improvement monitoring plan, or SIM plan, as we call it with affection, I believe holds the best promise of actually making some changes in how we are performing. Rather than having to write a plan to every area where we were below state target, we chose one area to work with. And we chose inclusion as our area to look at. Our team consisted of the superintendent, our program specialist, our director of curriculum, one of our general education teachers, one of our PLSTs, and myself. And we met as a team, we reviewed the data. Our problem of practice as we defined it, with input from SELPA also, they were part of the team. Too many of our students with disabilities are placed in special education for more than 50% of their day. That means that they are not being meaningfully included when we possibly could. And we need to look at how to make participation in a general education classroom meaningful for them. I do not believe that we should be moving students from special education into gen ed when they're not there to participate, when they're simply there to meet a target. That's not the purpose. The purpose is to help our students develop peer relationships, to develop skills. I've seen students that couldn't read. They were 5, 6 grade levels behind by the time they got to high school. But man, those kids could participate in a whole conversation and contribute meaningfully to that. That's meaningful inclusion, and that's our goal. Our root causes that we found in conversations, not just with our team, but in conversations with teachers, with gen ed teachers, with special education teachers, with surveys done after the last PD. What do you need training on? And it came back that we need training on inclusive practices. We need to know how we can adapt our instruction to welcome in all of our students, how we can differentiate, how we can use what's called universal design for learning, or ULD strategies, to help every student access that curriculum as much as possible. Those were resulting in our barriers to implementation. We also discovered in looking through our numbers that our students with autism were placed in self-contained classrooms at a much higher rate than students with other disabilities. In some cases, a self-contained classroom is absolutely the most appropriate place for a student. But what we do want to make sure we're not doing is assuming that because a student has a particular eligibility category, that we are not including them when we could be. Our recommended activities at the time we created the plan, first off, to add that inclusion specialist position, preschool through third grade, and 2 independence facilitators. I think I mentioned earlier, we ended up adding a 3rd independence facilitator. These are people who may be helping students navigate the classroom because of an orthopedic impairment. These may be adults who are helping the student with accessing the curriculum. They may be sitting with the student during circle and helping keep them focused. They may be in the back of the room, just making sure that things are going okay and ready to step in when necessary. Because what we don't want to do, and what research shows time and time again, simply tying an adult to a child is not effective, because what we get then is dependence on an adult. If we have a one-on-one aid for students, frequently they become dependent on that person. So all of our independence facilitators have been trained on how to step in and how to step back whenever possible. So the other areas that we looked at: providing professional development for all staff regarding inclusive practices, investigating professional development opportunities for UDL training for all staff. Again, that's universal design for learning. And then finally, professional development opportunities to train all staff to build understanding of the abilities and needs of students with autism. Partners in our work, we are very excited to be working with SCOE. Our first training on an introduction to inclusive practices is actually going to be happening in just a couple of weeks on March 4th. We have Tabitha Thompson, who is one of SCOE's new inclusion specialists, coming to work with all staff members regarding what is inclusion, why is it important, what can you do to help build your skills in differentiating instruction and making sure that all students feel included. Everyone wants to be part of a community, and so if we can build student skills, that's where I feel we're really going to make a difference. The second 2, we have a couple quick videos there. I've already spoken a lot. Do you want me to show the videos? Okay. The first one is from Changing Perspectives. Sam Drazen founded this company. He'll speak a little bit in this video about his why. We are thrilled that Sam, who established this company in Vermont and works across the country on inclusive practices, chose to move to Natomas last year, which means that he is very close by. He currently has, he's been working this year with Twin Rivers. He's been working with Folsom Cordova. When I reached out to him at the recommendation of Debbie Morris, our SELPA director, he was so excited to hear that there was a district that fed into Twin Rivers because he was already doing work there. And so this really kind of dovetails with that. Chuck, can we play that link?
My name is Sam Drazen, and I'm the Executive Director of Changing Perspectives. So even though the focus of Changing Perspectives is on disability, we really see disability as the entry point or the window to talking about all differences. Everybody, regardless of ability and or disability or whatever difference they might have, Everybody has an innate need to feel a part of a community. I see the need for students to develop greater skills around empathy, communication, collaboration, and an understanding that we are all different and that is okay. Before I founded Changing Perspectives, I was actually a classroom teacher. And as a classroom teacher, I quickly realized the need for empathy education in schools. And I started kind of exploring this idea of how can I, as a classroom teacher, create an inclusive environment for all students to learn and play together. And I realized that it really starts with conversations and building an awareness of differences, and that there were no programs out there that were providing teachers resources and supports to engage students in real conversations around not only disabilities but all differences. As adults and educators, we often think that children will be naturally empathetic, but in fact, it's a skill that needs to be explicitly taught. Empathy taps into our own vulnerabilities and can be a real challenge for both educators to teach students and for students to grasp. Our disability awareness programs are meant to easily integrate into the work that schools are already doing, rather than feeling like yet another initiative. All of our programs are customizable, and all of our content is housed online. We also offer support and coaching to really help teachers develop a program that's going to be most meaningful and relevant to students. Students have the opportunity to experience a hands-on activity that really helps to put them in someone else's shoes, which is what empathy is all about. And in the 21st century workplace, students are going to be required to collaborate and communicate and network with people who are not like them, people from diverse backgrounds. At Changing Perspectives, we work to empower all students with and without disabilities so they can truly go out into the world and be agents of change.
So our contract with Sam for this year is starting in March. We'll be doing some coaching. He will do a pre-survey on teachers' comfort levels with inclusive practices. Throughout next year, he will be a keynote speaker at our opening professional development day at the return to school. We will have 2 target sites that he will work with, providing coaching throughout the year to help our teachers feel comfortable welcoming all of our students with differences in, as well as providing educationally meaningful opportunities for them. The third organization on the list there, the Playmakers. I understand Coach Roz may have been here last board meeting. We are super excited to have discovered Playmakers. They reached out to our wonderful McKinney-Vento BCOA, Maggie Gomez, towards the end of last year, letting us know that they were in the area. They are a nonprofit that has high school students come in and work with at-risk students doing PE and physical activities, that sort of thing. We had the opportunity, Superintendent Chen and I did, to sit down with Coach Roz, talk about what we could do in our district. He is going to be coming in with his team to do fun, play-based physical fitness and PE activities with all of our self-contained classrooms integrated with our general education students as well. There's just a really brief video there from him as well, just kind of gives you an overview of what his program looks like, kind of outside of the schools, but the idea is to start to bring these sort of opportunities into the schools as well. Uh-oh. It's YouTube.
Hold on.
There's stuff at the
It's
end.
only a kick,
There we go.
a little hard work.
The Playmakers organization enhances the lives of kids and families by offering inclusive sports programs free of charge to participants.
These activities are important because the kids that we work with oftentimes do not have the resources and the same opportunities as other kids. And we just have to provide resources for those kids and families.
Until you have a child with special needs, you don't realize how many people are in need. I have a little boy who is 8 years old. He was diagnosed with autism. So things like this in our community are a big deal for our family.
On June 11th, 2022, the Playmakers hosted a one-day football camp in Lima, Ohio for children with developmental differences, bringing together volunteers from the police department, fire department, and 4 different high school football programs, all with the shared vision of enhancing the lives of kids and families in our community.
It's a great experience to see a guy that with the ability that's phenomenal, and you're around them and working with you. I think they think the world of that.
Playmakers Camp is just an opportunity for our kids to give back. I think it teaches our kids the value of football. They can see how they can use their position as a football player to, better the community and help others.
Playmakers also connects with local police and fire departments to help eliminate stigmas and fears that kids may have regarding law enforcement.
Having law enforcement and firefighters participating in our day is critical. Some of our kids, this is the only opportunity for them to see the positive aspects of law enforcement.
It is really important for us to try to connect with every member of the community. So if we do encounter each other outside of the Playmakers area, that they're not fearful of talking with us.
We know that there are kids, particularly with developmental differences, that will hide from the firemen in a house fire because of the uniform that they're wearing and what they sound like. It's very informative when fire comes here, shows the kids how they get dressed, what they sound like, and we believe that that can save lives.
This is just the beginning. With your support, the Playmakers organization plans to continue its impact in the greater Allen County region for years to come, on and off the field.
Today's activities is just the springboard of things that we would like to do throughout the year. That's weekend bowling, inclusive basketball, a prom for the kids that don't get to go to prom. We want athletes and kids on campuses that don't have differences to be more understanding and compassionate. We provide these camps so that kids become aware that we're not different. And our camps and football is the easiest way for us to do that. We're going to be back here regularly, and we just want to make this bigger and better.
The Playmakers organization is a nonprofit that provides activities like the football camp held in Lima, Ohio, at zero cost to participants and their families.
Our community needs more things like this to allow for them to have an alternate route for their kids to feel special.
To stay connected and get notified about future camps and activities in your area, visit theplaymakers.org and sign up for our newsletter by entering your name and email address into the box that says Stay Connected. Or you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Realize that's the Lima, Ohio version of the video, but we are so fortunate that Playmakers is actually based in Sacramento. So we're really looking forward to having them come in and provide all of this to us at no cost. So, any questions?
I don't have a question, but I feel like this is something very important to let you know. So my youngest son came up in Robla's special education department. Do you remember my son?
I've only been here for a year and a half.
Oh, okay, so you wouldn't. He's in 10th grade now, but he receives special services from kindergarten to the beginning of 6th grade. He is now in 10th grade. We just got his report card. He has a 3.8 GPA, and he is now considering himself to go to film school. And that is all because of all the effort that Robla put into him to make him be able to communicate with other kids, to feel confident in what he was able to do. And I want to say thank you to you and the rest of your staff.
I cannot say enough good things about the staff that we have in Robla, both general education staff and special education staff. We have an incredibly committed team here, and it's because of them that we get to hear success stories like that.
So even if you don't see it, so even if you don't see it, you know, this year or next year, the impact you're making on these kids is long term, and it's going to help them in the long run and make them much happier.
3 to 5 years to see if a program's successful. We are fully committed to making some pretty significant changes. Any other?
Any other questions or comments? I'll just say, at least in terms of our special ed, this is the most comprehensive report that I can remember receiving. Thank you very much. Well, seeing as how we are judged on the numbers, I appreciate that. So thank you. This was actually very, very informative.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to more.
All right. Okay, now we're going to move on to food and nutrition services update.
All right, good evening, everyone. Members of the board, my name is Erica Lee. I'm the Director of Food and Nutrition Services. I have some of my team here tonight, Chef Sergio and our Food Services Supervisor, Claudia Madrano. I have a lot of slides to cover tonight, but feel free to interrupt me if you have questions as we go through these, and I'll try and go as quick as I can. All right. So this is just kind of a brief overview of what we'll be going over tonight. But before we get too far into it, I just want to take you back. Typically, the board receives an annual report from Food Nutrition Services about our programs. But during last year's report, I was asked to focus specifically on breakfast in the classroom. So I didn't have the opportunity to kind of touch on the changes that we've made before June 2022. So let's take you back to the end of school year 2021-22. And in June of 22, this board approved a plan to restructure the Food and Nutrition Services Department. Up on the screen, we can see that the previous organizational structure for this department. And under this model, you can see that the food service director functions as the leader of the department, but it's kind of unbalanced here. And due to a lack of clerical and administrative support, the food service director's primary focus was really just very task-oriented on those day-to-day tasks and responsibilities. There's a lot of paperwork, reporting, meal applications, and a lot of communication with the frontline staff. So as a result, there really wasn't time to focus on these big picture initiatives that we had wanted to see here. You as a board, us as a district, and me definitely at the time as the student wellness coordinator. I had held that position, and so I was able to see firsthand just how difficult really frankly unrealistic it was, given the sheer volume of tasks and day-to-day responsibilities for the food services director at that time. So with the blessing of the board, in July of 2022, we were able to do a reorg and introduce some new positions to the department as a way to really just unify all food and nutrition and wellness initiatives. And we were able to introduce new leadership skills and positions to the department. So as a result, we actually combined the position of food service director and student wellness coordinator. So that's me. We were able to add a half-time administrative assistant to help with those day-to-day administrative tasks. And then something that has just been just a game changer, honestly. We were able to introduce a food services position. So that's Claudia here in the audience tonight. And she's really able to provide a lot of support for the day-to-day operations to school kitchen staff, food and supply orders, recipe standardization, and just really making sure that our staff are following all safety and program requirements. There's a lot of requirements in food and nutrition services, as you can imagine. So this is by no means an easy job, and Claudia truly just gives 110% of herself each and every day to just the program goals and to the staff as a whole, and I'm so grateful to have her on our team. During this time, we also, to the right of that position, you'll see that we introduced a district chef. So that is through a partnership with an organization called Brigade. So right now we have a 3-year contract with Brigade. And what Brigade does, they were founded by Chef Dan Giusti, who is very well known. He was the head chef of a restaurant called Noma in Copenhagen. So was quite literally named the best chef in the world at one point, but really turned his focus to school food and started placing chefs in schools. So if you can imagine, Dan's no joke. He has a really, really high standard for the chefs that they put in schools. He came out to Robla. I got to be a part of that interview process. We had a number of candidates, and we were so lucky. I really feel like we hit the jackpot when we found Chef Sergio. So he's been with us for 1.5 years now, and has really just we have grown leaps and bounds in the things that we're able to do. Whatever goals I had for our program, I feel like we've surpassed them in just such a short amount of time. And his day-to-day kind of culinary experience and hands-on, he's able, instead of doing one training a year like we used to do for culinary development, he's able to go into kitchens, on a daily basis, if needed at times, and kind of, refocus staff on, whether it's knife skills, setting up a workstation, proper, culinary food techniques. So it's really been such a huge help and helped us to do all the things that we've wanted to do for years and years in terms of creating more scratch cooked entrees in our school meal program. So again, so valuable. All right, so we restructured the department in July of 2022. These are year one focus areas. I won't read all these out to you. I can kind of translate some of these things though. So introducing batch cooking techniques, that is something I think for many years, it wasn't uncommon for staff to arrive at 5:30 in the morning, get everything ready for the day, put the food in the ovens, and then just wait for the students to start to arrive. And that's all fine and well, but many of our students, we have these long lunch periods. So if you have a student, you start your service maybe at 11 a.m., well, your last service at 1 p.m., and that food has just been sitting in the oven slowly, kind of just holding that temperature. So batch cooking is something that we introduced to staff so that food is coming out and we're preparing things as soon as the class is coming in, so that every student has kind of a hot, crispy something, or the broccoli can still snap and has that bright green flavor to it.
Are you saying that the students are eating more of their food since you started doing this?
Yeah, definitely. We'll get to that. We'll show off some participation numbers because I'm really proud of those. Yeah. And then really just our focus has always been on increasing the amount of scratch cooked meals, right? Trying to get away from the processed food. For years, heat and serve has been the standard in school kitchens. And we've been trying to move away from that, but we've really made some tremendous gains in the last 1.5 years. So year two, our focus was really now just batch cooking as our standard practice for all of our meals, no matter what. And then really just increasing the amount of scratch cooked menu items, not only at lunch, but we've introduced scratch cooked items at breakfast, which is huge. You're all familiar with breakfast in the classroom, and it is really just a feat to make 500 fresh toast fresh, box them up, and get them out to the classroom so that they're still warm. We are baking croissants to have. We're proofing them overnight, allowing, kind of the yeast to rise and all of that good stuff, and then baking them off in the morning and delivering them to the classrooms when they're still warm. Also for vegetarians, in the past we served a lot of yogurt, string cheese, and some butter sandwiches. So this is something that we've introduced to try and mirror the entree items of the day. So we have some plant-based, chicken patties and different ground beef alternatives, so that our vegetarian students are able to eat a dish that reflects what everybody else in the cafeteria is eating that day. Our local producers, that's really exciting. It's amazing just what we've been able to do, especially in the realm of meat. So we are getting local pork. It is, a small family ranch. And that is literally who is driving the pork, down from Modesto over to us each week. And it's really exciting. Culturally relevant menu items, that's something that we're always trying to do more of and will continue to do more of. And then this year, something I'm really excited about is just soliciting student feedback. So we've partnered with the Health Education Foundation. They will be hiring an evaluation firm. So we're currently in the process of interviewing different firms to do a pretty large scale evaluation project with our 4th through 6th grade students to understand what they want to see in school meals and what they would like to eat and what they think of the meals that we're serving in the cafeteria now.
Are you still doing the ingredient of the week or month?
Harvest of the month. No. I loved it too. Oh, I can't tell you. I can't tell you how much I love that. I also can't tell you how much just time and energy it was for me to every month do that. You know, because I created all of the educational materials that we sent out to the classroom. You know, we did these huge slide decks and videos. We do videos of the farmers, and it was a lot. And so, and now combining that position with the food service director position, we still have a lot of great wellness initiatives. That's just the only one we had to cut. Yeah. All right. So this is just a sampling of the scratch cook menu items that we are offering now on our menu. So like I said, it really has just been, you know, an 18-month period. And this is just a small sampling of what we're doing. And I'm really proud of our team for rising to the challenge. You wouldn't believe just how far they've come, the looks that they used to give us. You want us to make what? You know, so they've come a long way. They put their, you know, heart and soul into this, and I'm just really proud of these guys. All right, so what does it all mean? So this is our school meal participation. I feel like this is our, you know, our measure of success for that reorg and the expansion of the department. So 21, 22, that's kind of our base because it was in the summer of 22, right before the 22, 23 school year. That we brought on, you know, we expanded the department and brought on our district chef. So you can see, and while these percentages are small, you all know how hard it is to increase, you know, even small increments when it comes to participation, much like attendance. So in a short period of time, I'm just really proud that, you know, 82% of our students this year are eating school lunch.
So what now? What's the column with the sun and then the one with the food?
Sorry, yes, thank you. The sun. So that's breakfast.
Okay, got it.
And then the green column there with the lunch tray, that's lunch.
Okay.
So this is exciting, not only for school lunch, but also, you know, given breakfast in the classroom, is that program started in 2021, and we've continued to grow and increase participation. So just in 2 years, you can see that on a daily basis, these are all averages for average daily participation. So in just 2 years' time, we're feeding on average 350 more students every day for breakfast, and about the same, an increase of 350 students each day for lunch.
Are we able to measure it all to find out how much of those lunches are winding up in their tummies and how much may be winding up in the garbage can? Are we measuring that at all?
We're not
Is there a
measuring
way to
it.
do that?
Well, I mean, without bringing in scales and doing, I mean, a real kind of plate waste study is what they call it, where you're literally measuring the waste.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also hard because different menu days, you know, different things weigh different amounts. But we have been spending a lot more time in cafeterias and really just standing next to the trash cans, because we used to talk to our kitchen staff, you know, what do kids like? Are they eating this? Do they like it? But we realized that they're on this side of the line, you know, and really who knows about food waste and whether or not kids like things? It's the custodians, it's the yard duties, it's the folks seeing what's going into the trash. So that is part of why we're really excited about just the student feedback that I've been talking about. So we're going to be able to talk to kids, but then part of that will be doing more lunchroom observations where we're simply just looking at the trash cans. So while it won't be scientific, you know, I hate to say, we are absolutely looking at that. And then part of our goal is also just to reduce waste. There's a new Senate bill out that is really going to, you know, force us to look at that. But I think that, you know, students are eating more than they used to. I can definitely, you know, just anecdotally say that. And the fact that they're taking more meals, you know, these meals aren't forced upon them by any means, you know. So it is a choice that they have for both breakfast and lunch. And I'm thrilled to see that the numbers have increased like they have.
Excellent.
If at all possible, I would like if you could take some pictures of the type of food you're serving and maybe send it to the board if anybody else is interested.
Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. We've actually been gathering pictures. We want to, because what we realized is we're a humble bunch over here, and we have made these changes, but we haven't, you know, we haven't been showing it off to parents, and that's the missing part of this, right? So that's something that we've been talking about lately, and just wanting to get more exposure on social media to let parents know what their kids are eating. Yeah, so absolutely, we can do that. Okay, so next is just kind of a snapshot of the budget. These are just our projected revenues and expenditures. You'll see there that we are close to $1 million over budget, but that is just simply due to old grants, that this is the year that we had our expenditure deadlines. So we've had to, replace a lot of equipment and been able to use a lot of that money for new equipment and training. So we are actually on a budget spending plan. The state has asked us to continue to spend money, so we are doing that. And our projected ending balance is still well above where it needs to be.
I appreciate that explanation because that was the next question that I had.
What is going on?
Chef is very expensive.
All right, so I know that we are in the beginning stages of the central kitchen, or what I am calling the hub kitchen, but I did just want to touch on this briefly, and while I don't have all of the answers and we don't have Emilio here, I just wanted to touch on, kind of what the vision is, hub kitchen versus central kitchen, what does that mean, and the impact that it will have on students. So just kind of central kitchen versus hub kitchen. Traditionally, the model for central kitchens is to centralize food production and to increase efficiency, and then just to ship those meals out to the schools. And that is not what we want to do. There's been kind of a change in programs that have done that in the past. There seems to be a disconnect between the people in the central kitchen making the meals and then the people that are on the other side who are simply just reheating the meals. I guess you could say that, the love is missing of putting the love in the food, but also our goal really isn't just to ship meals out and have a plastic film, for them to remove and eat in kind of a TV tray. We still want there to be smells in the cafeteria. We want kids to understand and, hear the sizzle of things that are being cooked. So what our goal is really just to, and we still believe that we're going to increase efficiencies just naturally by not reducing our dependence on so many pre-made products, but just really diving deeper into the scratch cooking, because where we're at right now, we've hit the ceiling. And I'll talk about our existing kitchens in just a moment, but really just, in terms of food safety, we're just not able to do the things that we want to do. We want to go deeper. We're not able to staff the kitchens like we would need to and want to in order to make some of these scratch cooked items. So the hub kitchen is going to allow us to make a lot of these sauces, dressings, muffins and bread mixes by scratch. So we're thinking of it kind of like a Blue Apron model, where we're going to be able to centralize production of certain things and then send those out to kitchens to support them, to alleviate that stress and labor. Because right now I can say we have an amazing kitchen team, but they are stressed. They are stressed. They are working hard every single day to get these scratch items done, because it's really difficult to do at that level. So if we're able to take some of the burden off of them and send out a homemade marinara, and then they simply just have to, toss it with the meat and the spaghetti to make our spaghetti dish, that's going to be a lot more effective.
Kind of like those meal programs where you order the meal. It's like you get all of the pieces, and all you have to do is put it all together and cook it. You have all the instructions, everything, but a lot of the prep work is done.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So that is the aim. And then our staff is still going to be involved. They're not going to feel like they're just hitting the 30-second reheat button on our entree. So that's really important to us as well. So hub kitchen limitations. I am so grateful for this hub kitchen. I cannot tell you how grateful I am. However, I do just want to let the board know that our kitchens still need help. And that the hub kitchen, unfortunately, is not going to solve every problem we have. It's going to be a game changer in terms of what we're able to do, and I'm very excited. However, I look around, our school buildings, and I'm just so proud of all of the classrooms, and, you can't even recognize, certainly at Robla, the changes that have been made. But if there's a new board member, or you ever need to, remember what it used to be like, you just need to walk down to any school kitchen because those have been the same since the 1950s, 1940s even, and it shows. We have a lot of wood. We have a lot of kind of home kitchen style cabinets, drawers getting stuck. I mean, just some kind of unique characteristics of our kitchen. And we really see this at Taylor
It
Street.
was very diplomatic, just so you know. I appreciate the diplomacy.
Yeah. So I do just want to make sure that that is on our radar, something that, as this board and Superintendent Chen develops a facilities plan, that you keep those kitchens in mind. Again, we're going to have kitchen to keep, to really centralize the production of, so we're not going to have those equipment needs that we might, but we just need some basic kind of hand washing sink areas and just some basic upgrades. So I just want to make sure that the board is aware that the hub kitchen will not fix all. All right. So before I move on to our farm to school field trips, are there any questions just about the school meal program?
No?
Okay.
Very comprehensive so far.
Okay, well, this will be brief. In terms of our student wellness initiatives, usually I just kind of give an overview. And don't worry, with the exception of Harvest of the Month, we are still doing our kids' farmers markets, our fresh fruit and vegetable program, the food bank pantry boxes. But I just wanted to do kind of a deeper dive and focus on farm to school field trips. I love these. They are a tremendous amount of time and energy, and this is why we're really glad to have that half-time administrative assistant. But I just want to show some pictures and talk about farm to school field trips because I'm really proud of them, and I think it's an amazing opportunity for our students. And this nutrition education is really what helps to encourage those students to not throw the vegetables away into the trash can, right? When you are doing gardening activities, when you're going out to the farm and seeing where the lettuce in your salad bar comes from, kids are way more excited to eat it. And they're actually really excited to eat it, right? So the more we can do of that, the more our kids are going to eat in the cafeteria and at home, hopefully. And what's really fun is I think we're now in our third year of this. And so I'll go through the grades, but each grade level has a different field trip. And it's just really exciting thinking about our kindergartners that started with these trips and now they're third graders. And, once every child is getting these field trips, just the possibilities that will come and the changes that we might see as a result of that. So I'm just going to go through each grade level. So our kindergarten students, and last year this was on hold, but we're excited to bring it back. Actually, Chef Sergio is going to be leading these. We have a budget for these field trips, so some are smaller than others. So for our kindergartners, we're doing a cafeteria tour where they just simply come to the cafeteria. We bring them kind of behind the scenes, show them the big walk-in, introduce them to their kitchen manager, show them about the salad bar, and then we do a short cooking demo so that they can get their hands in some food and make a healthy dish that they can share with their family at home. Next up, we send our first grade students out to Fiery Ginger Farm. This is Fiery Ginger Farm. Started out as a field trip, and now they are a key partner to everything we do. We have put in a number of grant applications this year with USDA, and we are working with them for their Spork Food Hub. So it's really exciting how these started as field trips, but now are just integral partners to the work that we do every day. So this is an urban farm located out in West Sacramento. Students actually plant the lettuce seeds, and then they know that they're going to find that lettuce out on our salad bars, which is really just kind of fun.
Is this that big weird building you see from the freeway, or is this a different one?
No big weird building. I mean, there's some hoop houses, but it's actually quite hidden. It's behind that.
The one I'm thinking of.
No. But you all are invited to come out to any of these field trips at any time. I highly recommend it. They're a lot of fun. I think Nubia has actually come out, Ms. Cardona, to Fiery Ginger Farms, and it's just so much fun. So they wash turnips, they cut vegetables, we do some bee activities, and then there in the corner, this was just fun. I get so few emails from parents, but a teacher actually emailed me just saying in the corner, that's a picture of the salad. After her first grader went on the Fiery Ginger trip, she came home and was inspired to make her own salad, and then the parents sent that picture in. Second grade, we are sending kids out to Fog Willow Farm, which I'm going to admit is not my favorite. It doesn't, dig into the kind of ag that I'm hoping to. But so this trip will probably be changed in the future. But we know the kids love going to Found Willow. They get that exposure of a farm and getting to see the animals and things like that. So that's what we're doing for our second graders this year. But changes are afoot in the future. Our third graders, they do a farm garden in a wheelbarrow, so we'll be kicking that off just in a couple weeks here. So our third grade classrooms receive a wheelbarrow, bags of soil, seeds, and then they grow a garden in their wheelbarrow. They have to do a display of learning, so they're doing activities, they're measuring their growth progress, taking pictures. It's kind of up to their class and their teacher to design what they want to present. But then they put all that together, they decorate their wheelbarrows, and then in May we all go to the county fair where they're entered into a competition. Last year, Shelley Circus from Robla won first place. That was really exciting. But it's just a fun thing for kids to see their work, their hard work displayed, and just the process that happens to get there. Fourth grade, PT Ranch. This is so fun. If any of you can come out this April or May, this is a ranch that specializes in regenerative farming. They have meat birds, and it is just such a fun and beautiful place. It's located out in Ione. I did say meat birds, yeah. Those are like turkeys, chickens, yeah. But used for meat and not for eggs. Okay. Yeah. But they really talk to students a lot about what it means, regenerative farming and carbon sequestration, and what that does, the different practices that they have to try and restore the soil and restore the land. They go through a number of different things. Chef Sergio's out there. We do a cooped omelet station where the kids go out and gather eggs from the hen house, and then they come inside and get to learn how to cook an omelet with Chef Sergio. We milk cows, which every single field trip I crack up, the kids are always like, why is the milk warm? And these are fourth graders. Shows how important farm to school education is, right? So it's a fantastic trip. They have a bee charmer out there. They do a gardening practice, a seedling activity. And then at the end, we do this beautiful lunch where we're grilling chicken that is raised on their farm, asparagus, rainbow carrots, and it's this very long table that fits 60 students out in the barn, and that's where we all have lunch together. All right, fifth grade, this is a new field trip this year. I'm really excited about it. The Food Literacy Center, they are an after-school program that we work with. They teach kids how to cook. So they come in and do a lot of cooking activities. And as part of a Sac City partnership, they have built a cooking school next door to Leotata Floyd in Sac City. So they have invited us to go out and participate. It is a beautiful, beautiful cooking school. And our kids are able to go out. They're making this year broccoli and potato tacos. I was out at the last field trip, and it's amazing. If kids cook a broccoli and potato taco, it is the best thing they've ever had in their whole life. You know, if we made it for them, they might turn their nose up. But when they're actively engaged in the cooking process, it's really fun to see just how they scarf them down, and they're so proud of it. And then sixth grade, this has been a field trip that we've been doing for the last 3 years. It's really great. It's actually not a field trip at all. Junior chef comes here, but we do 2 cooking classes in the school cafeterias. And then as we go, we're slowly expanding upon their skills, and it's just a whole lot of fun. So those are farm to school field trips, and the end of my presentation.
Any questions or comments?
I have none. That was so thorough. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to move forward to action items. Item A, approve certificated assignments under a provisional internship permit for 2023-2024 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Would you like to discuss?
I'm going to ask Ms. Sullivan to come up.
Good evening, everyone. So this action is required by CTC in order for us to move forward with applying for these provisional internship permits for the 5 individuals that are on your list. Essentially, They all have a credential currently. However, this is a more appropriate credential for the assignment in which they hold. And what it does is it'll bridge the gap between now and when they enter their formal internship program. There's about 7 different requirements that they have to meet for the internship program itself, and they're all in different stages of completing those. They have 1 or 2 things that they have left to complete. And then what'll happen is 2 of them next year will probably move to a short-term staff permit, and then the other 3 will be in their formal programs with a what's called a district internship permit.
Any questions, discussions, or debate? Hearing none, we'll move forward to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Item B, approve comprehensive school safety plan for 2023-24.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded.
Thank you. So each year, Ed Code requires school districts and schools to develop a comprehensive safety plan. Districts with less than 2501 students can have a district plan that encompasses all the other schools. So that is the plan that you see attached. What we are working on from now through the end of the school year are pieces of the school plan that are specific to the school sites. For example, the evacuation map, or the incident command center. Those pieces are specific to the school sites, so they will not be posted. We do not want the public to know our evacuation plan. But the intent is that at the beginning of each school year, when the school goes over their the comprehensive safety plan, they go over the rules and the map and incident command center for their sites.
Any questions, comments, discussion, or debate? Hearing none, we'll move forward to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Section 5, board member requests for future agenda items or reports. Trustee Devine?
None at this time.
Trustee Hamilton Stark?
Are we going to hear about the students who won the Black History Month essay contest? Like, can we give them a shout out at the next board meeting?
Absolutely, and we can give an additional shout out at the parent involvement dinner next Thursday, February 29th, where the winners will be announced and recognized.
That was real subtle. I like that. Product placement. Okay, Trustee Barnes?
Nothing at this time.
Okay, I actually had 3 items. One was an update on the transportation department, specifically relating to electric buses. I know we haven't talked a lot about that, but I know that we've had some on back order. I'd like to have an idea of where we are in terms of our fleet, where we are in terms of what we're expecting, and how all that's going. So that's item number 1. Item number 2, I know that a few years back we went through a whole kind of redoing and retraining with our custodial and maintenance staff. I'd like to know how that's kind of going and get kind of an update on that. And then finally, and I was just reminded about that today when you were giving your report, just kind of I know we have a facilities plan, but I don't think we have a facilities master plan. You know, I would like to actually start to look at it, because my first thought was, as we're looking at maintenance, I mean, now that we've got all of our classrooms, 21st century classrooms, I know that there's stuff that we have not been able to do. We need to start taking a look at, how we're going to do, what we need to have done, how we're going to need to do that, what is deferred, what is maintenance and deferred maintenance going to look like. So I'd like to see, have a discussion around that.
I am super excited to have that, because currently Robla has a facilities implementation plan.
Right.
But I would love to develop a facilities master plan.
All right.
Looking forward to that.
Excellent. And with that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for tuning in.